This is Will Nunziata, New York City-based director and creator of theater, television, and film. And today I am thrilled to be speaking with Josh of the acclaimed punk rock band Killer Rat. Hello, Josh. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Will?
Josh, doing so much better now that we're finally talking. And of course, the audience can get your CD, the album of Stuck in a Cage, as well as just hearing all of your amazing music. And I love the fact we were talking a little bit off camera that you can't put this band in a specific genre. You guys do it all with elements of alt rock, grunge, new metal. I want to know for you, though, Josh, because you are the Renaissance man of this band as a singer, a songwriter, a guitarist, bass guitarist. You do the album art. Josh, how did the idea of Killer Rat come about for you? And what are you most excited about with the music that you already have out there?
Well, for the idea of Killer Rat, see, it's really, at first, I just thought I really wanted to do something, with something artistic, and I wanted to find a way to make it kind of provocative in a way to where, people wouldn't quite understand it, but if you really look deeper into it, it makes sense. But I wasn't sure how I wanted to do that, be it like paintings or filmmaking or something. But eventually, I started getting into music, and I'm like, I could start a band called Killer Rat. And if you think about that, see, the reason why I'd like to do this, if you pay attention to some of my lyrics, you may notice some people may hear some of my lyrics and hear, oh, that's just vulgar trash, which, I mean, it would make sense to say that about some parts of it, but in the end, the reason why I write the things I write is because I write about things that are serious to me in a way that's over exaggerated and sounds joking, so that people who don't take things so seriously can still get on with it, and then those people who can actually feel the topics, they could hear it and have a laugh at it too. So I decided to start that project, do that, and I was also heavily inspired by another band that's actually not that popular. They're called Roach, not to be confused with Papa Roach. There's actually two bands called Roach I know of. There's one in Japan, there's one in America, and I'm talking about the American band. They were a band from Brooklyn, New York, and there was a singer in it named Dan who actually sang on some Killer Rat songs because I actually found a way to get in contact with him, and now he sings on some of the songs.
Oh, is this
And
Dan
what they did,
D?
yeah, Dan D. That's what he does. I would have put his last name, but he was kind of sensitive about that, so I decided to do initials instead. Um, and so with his band, they're mostly just like a joke, like not joke, like they are a real band, they do real music, but the lyrically they just do a lot of joke songs. Um, and I personally thought it was very funny, but I also liked the music to it as well. So I really got inspired by that, and I got in contact with him, and I heard that he really wanted to record anymore, but the rest of the Roach band members didn't really want to do anything. So I figured, well, now I'm here. So now I'm gonna help you with that. So him and I both sang on some of the songs. I sang most of them, but he sang a few of them too. And he's helped me write some of them. So he is pretty important. It would be unfair to not give him credit. But I still do most of that. But he definitely helped a lot, and he inspired the whole thing, really.
That's amazing, Josh. And I also just love how unabashed you were in just reaching out. And I think in a time like now, where artists have been, basically isolated, right? I mean, I think we're now more fearless than ever in reaching out to people we like to collab. You obviously did it. And look, he's part of this album. But I also want you to talk a little bit about the album that you're working on currently. Talk to me a little bit about the concepts for it, maybe a name of it, maybe some ideas of the songs, and when we can hear it.
So the album I'm working on now. So I'm working on a new album called, and I'm planning to title it "It All Started Here." The album cover, which I'll send you in the email if you want to show it on the video. The album cover is a picture of a baby rat that I took a picture of, and it has the words "It All Started Here." And the reason I would title it "It All Started Here" is because it's a newborn rat, so that's kind of where everything starts. And in that one, I would go. I would take it because the first album, while it does have hints of other genres, at the core, it's mostly like alternative and punk mixed together with hints of grunge and new metal. But this next album is gonna still have alternative and punk, but it's gonna be closer to the grunge and new metal side. So it's gonna be a little more, aggressive, but still have that same feeling to it. So you could still, if you could get on with the first album, you can get with the next one too, and still be like, yeah, this is cool too. And well, I'm still planning to have those songs that are a bit, vulgar sounding and joking sounding. There's going to be a lot more serious songs on it too that people can actually hear if they're not into the more jokey songs. They might be able to appreciate more of these other songs. Such as my favorite song that I'm working on right now is a song called "She's Got Others," and I wrote it in a totally serious sounding way, you know. But it's still kind of because if you listen to a lot of the songs on Stuck in a Cage, um, at its very root, they start from just singing about relationship troubles. Because, I mean, personally, I feel like that's one thing that I have a lot of trouble with in life. So I figured I'd sing about that because that's just what comes to mind when I write songs. So She's Got Others is a song that's also about some relationship problems I've had, but not quite like the ones I've written before. It's more serious, and it's about how I used to be in a relationship with someone who was polyamorous. And no disrespect to people who are polyamorous, you are you, and you do what you do. But my song was about how it kind of sucked for me because I didn't really understand what I was getting into there, right? And I didn't understand how lonely I'd feel knowing that I was not the only one she was with, you know? And the fact that I wasn't supposed to say anything about it, I was supposed to just be cool with it because it was now it's not considered cheating if it's polyamorous. So that's what the song's kind of about. How how if you don't really know what you're getting into there, sometimes it can be a little
Well,
feel isolating.
and Josh, I think that's something that people can relate to. And I think that's what makes you guys all very relatable. You're talking about topics and things that we're all going through in one way or another. Either we've been through it or now. I mean, gosh, I don't know about you. I know so many couples that have struggled that have either made it or didn't make it through isolating with one another. I think we all know what it's like to be in a relationship of dis-ease, whether it's with, dare I say, someone else or within ourselves. And before I ask my final question, I just want to remind our audience for more on Josh and the incredible Killer Rat. You can read more about all of them right below this video. Josh, look at some artists are having trouble getting that creative spark ignited. What advice would you give to those artists out there who may just be having trouble getting those creative juices flowing right now?
I would say probably the best thing you could do is first you just want to think of an idea with your art. Do you want to express things that you really feel are negative so you can you learn to find a way to cope with it or vent your frustrations, or do you want to be more positive with your music? And I think that's a good thing to know. If you look, and I mean, I know a lot of people don't like new metal music, but I still listen to that stuff, from the 90s and 2000s. If you look at new metal, there's a lot of bands like Korn and Limp Bizkit and Slipknot where they were always singing about negative things and venting frustrations out because they had a lot of pain in their lives. Then there's bands like Thousand Foot Crutch and POD that were trying to put a positive twist on it and trying to even sing, even though they were singing about problems, they were trying to find a positive way to look at it and sing about it. And I feel like you really got to know if you want to just vent your frustrations or try to make other people feel better about theirs by saying positive things. And both things can actually help people feel better. Sometimes someone just needs to know other people go through it. Another time, someone needs to know the solution to it. Sometimes you need both. And once you figure out what that is, all you got to do is figure out, okay, so if I if I'm gonna be venting out my frustrations, I'm just gonna spend some time, write down, some words that describe how I feel and describe what's going on, and try to write it in a way that really describes me. Like for example, like people might not like my lyrics because some of them are a bit, on the vulgar side, and a bit, some people might say it sounds trashy. But the reason I do that is because that way it kind of sounds like it's my like unique thing. Like you'll be like, oh, that's Josh's lyrics, all right, like you'll be like, that's him, but you still hear I'm actually singing about something that means something to me. So just find something that means something to you, not necessarily something that you think everyone else is going to relate to, but something that means something to you. Because if it means something to you, might mean something to other people, and
Josh,
just write how you
it's a,
feel.
it's a great reminder, my friend. It actually reminds me of one of my favorite quotes from the late, great Judy Garland, who said, "It's best to be the first rate version of yourself and not a second rate version of someone else." And Josh, you are definitely a first rate version of yourself, living and doing your art unapologetically. It's something to aspire by. That's also inspiring. And listen, I'm so excited you're
Exactly.
coming
That's what
on.
punk's all about.
Exactly. And isn't that what great art is about? You know what I mean?
Exactly. I feel like, punk artists are really, I feel like they're some of the most pure artists because they're like, okay, you don't
I
like what I'm
agree.
doing? Screw it then.
I
We'll do what we want
agree.
to do.
I agree 5,000%, my friend. And listen, I'm so excited you're coming on board this brand new social media app, FENIX360, but also I'm glad that we're connected now, Josh. Congratulations on all you have coming out. And again, for the audience viewing, please, 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 for more on the amazing Josh, you can go right below this video. Killer Rat is the band. Josh, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks for letting me on.